The five-element fists are the foundational techniques of Xingyi Quan, and they give rise to all other techniques. Hence, they are referred to classically as the mother fists. The key function of practicing the five-element fists is to develop specific vectors of force. Each individual element focuses on specific vectors of force which are manifested through body mechanics. It is these vectors of force which are applied to and give rise to all other techniques. Literally, the elements included in all actions. Beng Quan, or crushing fist, is the third of the five elements. The classics state the element that crushing relates to is wood. Its form is like an arrow, and the internal organ that it relates to is the liver. The reference to the arrow describes its vector of force, which is straight and direct, as well as its speed, which is as swift as an arrow. Beng Quan's body mechanics features expansion and contraction, much like a bow being drawn and loosing an arrow. It is direct and practical in its application. Beng Quan has been revered for generations due to its devastating effects in combat, and famous master Guo Yunshen was said to have had an undefeatable crushing punch. Beng Quan is seemingly simple, yet profound when developed to deeper levels and combined with whole body movement. While there are numerous variations of Beng Quan, in this primer video, I shall cover the fundamental details and standard execution within my Hebei line of Xingyi Quan. In general, all methods and variations of Beng Quan adhere to and implement the principles that I shall present here. Stand with the feet at shoulder width apart and extend the hands out ahead as you would in the Sun T-shirt position. Clench both hands to form fists and rotate the lead fist outward so the fist heart is facing up. The lower fist is drawn into the lower abdomen with the elbow tucked in tightly. As you do this, urge the lead shoulder forward slightly and draw the lower fist up your abdomen. Next, extend the lower fist out ahead following the line of the lead forearm as you draw in the lead fist to the abdomen with the fist heart facing in. The fist is in a vertical orientation as you strike out ahead. The punch is issued out along the center line of the body. Ensure the forearm is parallel with the floor and that the elbow remains slightly bent and not locked straight. Mobilize the waist and shoulders and urge the shoulder into each strike and sink the elbows to utilize whole body power. The rotating of the shoulders and the waist ensures that the punch tracks along the center line. Ensure that the elbow of the punching arm hugs the ribs and is behind the fist throughout the strike. The face of the fist of the punching arm is angled slightly forward so that the fist eye is angled forward and up. The focus of force is on the knuckles of the index and middle fingers, which are aligned with the forearm. Ensure the back of the fist is also aligned with the forearm. Practice this slowly at first to ensure that you conform to the requirements. Once you have some proficiency with the movement, you may add speed and power and continue to practice on the spot. Utilize an equal amount of force in the punching fist and the fist being drawn back. The punching fist must be clenched tightly at the moment of impact. Ensure that you maintain the forward angling of the striking fist and do not hook it upwards. Do not overdo the tilt, but rather maintain a comfortable and structurally strong alignment, focusing on the first two knuckles. The initial counter twisting of the body serves to store and build kinetic power, like drawing a bow. This also increases the line of movement. When striking out, ensure you utilize the waist and shoulders forcefully and do not simply use the arm alone. Ensure you press the crown of the head up at all times and ensure you don't slouch. This, coupled with the rotation of both the shoulders and the waist, as well as the equal force issued with both the striking arm and the arm being drawn back, creates a clear axis of rotation and also keeps the strike tracking directly on the center line. This all aids in creating a unified, optimum whole body strike. Half-step Beng Quan is executed with a half-step, or ban bu. This stepping method was covered in a previous 10-minute primer on footwork, which you may review first. The first method of executing this half-step Beng Quan features the issuing of force timed with the rear foot follow-in step. The handwork details already explained in this primer video are to be combined with a half-step with the striking arms alternating with each step. From a left Santi Shi position, execute the Beng Quan handwork actions. As you rotate the lead fist outward so the fist heart is facing up and urge the left shoulder forward. Advance the left foot ahead, half a step, and settle firmly onto it. Next, as you punch with the right hand out ahead, follow in with the right foot half a step to end about a fist's length distance behind the left heel, sliding into the landing with a thump. The weight is mostly on the rear leg and both legs are bent, with the right knee nestled in close to the hollow of the left knee with the rear foot slightly turned out. Press the head up and sink the waist. Next, advance the left foot again ahead half a step and follow in with the right foot half a step as you punch with the left fist. You will be alternating strikes between the left and the right hands, however you shall repeat the same stepping method on one side with each strike. Ensure you time each punch with a follow-in step of the rear foot so that the hand and foot arrive together. The initial half step with the left leg should advance a distance greater than your own shin length. The rear foot follow-in should slide in with a thump and not be raised and stamp. This motion should transfer power forward, not upwards, which is what stamping will cause. Ensure you mobilize the waist and shoulders with each strike, using equal force between both arms. Initially, execute this slowly with a staccato rhythm until the upper and lower body actions are well coordinated, and then you may move on to executing it in a fluid motion utilizing force. Continue to focus on maintaining the previously mentioned principles and ensure that the strike remains coordinated and timed with the landing of the rear foot. The key difference between the rear foot timed Beng Quan and the lead foot timed Beng Quan is the synchronization of the steps with the strike. In this variation, the strike arrives as the lead foot lands. The aspects related to the upper body remain the same as before. To initiate, preload your weight with dynamic tension on the rear leg as you perform the upper body initial actions. This will enable you to shoot forward as soon as the tension is released by the front foot advancing. As your front foot lands, your Beng Quan should simultaneously arrive. Your entire mass should land on your front foot at the instant your strike is executed. Following this, quickly draw in the rear foot as done with the rear foot timed Beng Quan. As with each of the 5-element fists, Beng Quan requires daily repetition and long-term focused practice in order for the correct body mechanics, actions, and force vector to manifest. The key to Beng Quan is reliant on the footwork and the legs. As the classic saying goes, the hands generate 30% of the power while the legs generate 70% of the power. Beng Quan's power comes from the footwork, which transfers up the body and out the fist. When practicing, focus on preloading and forcefully pedaling with the rear leg, which drives the body forward, and then forcefully landing on your issuing foot with your mass projecting correctly. Utilize the motions and rotations of the waist and shoulders to transfer and magnify the force from your root out to the extremity in a cumulative manner, from the legs to the waist, to the shoulder, to the elbow, and finally out the fist. This is in line with the principles of the 3 sections. While deeper details regarding Beng Quan's practice, its variations, and applications should be attained through direct transmission by learning from an authentic teacher, I have presented here the 2 core fundamental versions of the half-step Beng Quan most prominent in Hebei lines of Xingyi Quan. The details covered in this primer video will enable you to begin or correct your practice.